My coworker was being a tool, so I nailed his to the floor. I work construction, mostly wood framing apartment buildings, and I'm almost always the only woman on the crew. That means I watch how I handle things. If I lose my temper, even when I'm right, I get called difficult. The guys can scream at each other over a tape measure and it's just Tuesday. I do it once, and suddenly I'm the problem. So I've learned to pick my battles. This wasn't one I was going to let go. We were framing the 5th floor of a complex on the east side, hot enough that the plywood was warm through my boots by 9 in the morning. Every morning before I set up, I walk the floor and gather up whatever ladders got left behind the day before. Guys just drop them wherever they finish. I stack them against the far wall by size so nobody's tripping and everybody knows exactly where to grab one. Little thing, but it keeps the day moving. That morning I set my 6-footer under a run of top plates, hooked my pouch on and started nailing. Went through nails faster than I planned. I had to run down to the Connex for more. 5 floors down, no working elevator yet, just stairs. I grabbed 3 10-pound boxes so I wouldn't have to make the trip twice, and hauled all 30 pounds up 5 flights in the heat. My shirt was soaked through by the 3rd floor. When I got back to my area, my ladder was gone. Not knocked over, not moved a few feet. Gone. I looked around and found it across the room, folded out under a guy named Dale, who'd been on our crew about 2 months. He was standing on my ladder running conduit holes like it had always been his. I asked him why he took mine when there was a whole stack of ladders sitting maybe 20 feet from him. He didn't even look down at me. He just said, "Why can't you grab one of those instead?" That's the part that got under my skin. If I had walked over and taken his ladder while he was on it, with a pile of spares in plain sight, I would have gotten chewed out in front of the whole crew. Dale did the exact same thing to me and acted like I was the one being unreasonable for pointing it out. I didn't argue. I grabbed a ladder from the pile like a good girl and finished my section, but I was quiet the rest of the morning, running the whole thing over in my head. 12 other guys on that floor and not one of them said a word to Dale either. Just watched it happen and went back to their own work. When break hit, everybody cleared out. Some went to their trucks, some headed to the brake trailer by the gate. I told Nadia, the only other woman on site that week, that I'd catch up, and I ducked into the porta potty by the stairwell instead. Through the vent slats, I watched Dale drop his pouch by his workstation and walk off toward the trailer. I gave it a minute, then came out and walked straight to his bag. His pouch was a heavy canvas one that straps around the waist like a belt, with a row of pockets and a couple of steel ringlets on the side for hanging a hammer or a chalk line. I grabbed my nail gun and ran nails straight through the existing belt holes, pinning the whole thing flat to the plywood subfloor. Then I grabbed a handful of lag screws from my own bucket, 4-inch, 6-inch, and 8-inch, mixed on purpose, and drove those through the ringlets. Once they were seated, I bent every single one over sideways with a hammer so they couldn't back out straight. Coarse-threaded lags don't pull, they have to be unscrewed, and bent over like that, a claw hammer wasn't going to help him either. I didn't put a single hole through his pouch that wasn't already there. Didn't cut a strap, didn't touch anything inside it. Just pinned it down through holes that existed anyway. Then I walked back to my ladder, ate my sandwich, and waited. Break ended, and everybody filtered back in. I kept my head down, nailing off blocking, one ear turned toward Dale's corner. It took him a minute to notice his pouch wasn't just sitting there, it was stuck there. I heard him grunt, then swear, then grunt again, yanking on it with both hands like he was trying to pull a stump out of the ground. Nothing moved. A couple of guys wandered over to see what the noise was. One of them laughed and said it looked like somebody really didn't like him. Dale tried prying under it with a flat bar, which just bent the bar. He ended up on his knees for 20 minutes with a socket wrench, backing out lag screws one at a time, while half the crew stood around cracking jokes. Our foreman came by, looked at the mess, looked at Dale, shook his head, and walked off without asking a single question. Nobody ever figured out it was me. Nadia gave me a look across the floor at one point, the kind that says she had a guess, but she never said a word either. Dale never brought it up to me directly, not once. He just started keeping his pouch closer to his body after that, and I noticed he stopped taking things that weren't his.